We crazy developers always wanted to develop some app, and that app must contain at least one AI feature like natural language processing. And that too, that natural language processing should not happen in English. It should happen in our own language. But we were always stuck in doing this because we did not have the quality datasets. Any natural language processing task requires huge amounts of audio, text, and image data, and that too in certain formats, and those are called as datasets. And to create those datasets in our own language needs huge investments, and we couldn't afford for that. And that is why we are always stuck and we couldn't proceed. But we cannot complain on this anymore. PM Modi recently has launched a AI platform which is called Bhashini. And this platform contains high quality audio, video, and image datasets for all Indian languages, and they are all made available for free. And not only this, the Indian IT researchers have already created algorithms to convert one language text to another language text, and also the speech to the text conversion algorithms are also written in that, and they also can be accessed for free. All we need to do is use certain APIs and trigger those models and then create our own apps based on that. So what is this AI platform Bhashini? What is its technical architecture? And if you as a developer has to access those models through APIs, how can you do that? And if you are a data scientist and if you would like to contribute to those models, how can you contribute that? All that we are going to discuss in this video. Hi, this is Aditya and welcome to Shankar Martech channel. PM Modi recently has launched multiple open source platforms to boost innovation and startup ecosystem in India. So I'm going to do multiple videos on all of these platforms. If you are interested, please subscribe to my channel. Let's get started with the presentation. The awesome part of this platform Bhashini is that everyone, like from developers to data scientists to startups, any knowledge about IT or AI or NLP can contribute to this platform, which is Bhashini. So I'm going to explain everything in detail. Please try to be with me till the end. Okay, so first let us try to understand what are the various NLP tasks which are there as part of this Bhashini platform. Okay, so first thing is this MT, which is machine translation. So machine translation means without any human intervention, translating one language to another language. For example, if we take two languages like Hindi and Telugu, you can translate from Hindi to Telugu or else English to Hindi, English to Bengali. So such kind of tasks are called as machine translation tasks. And the second thing is this ASR, which is automatic speech recognition. If I am speaking certain language, let us suppose Hindi, then the program will automatically convert whatever I am speaking into text format. So it will just write down whatever I am speaking automatically. So that is called a speech recognition task. So the next thing is text to speech conversion. If there is any text in any language like Hindi or Telugu, then it starts reading that particular text. Okay, so that is text to speech conversion. And the fourth thing is optical character recognition, which means that if there is any image in which some Indian language text is there, and if you upload that image, it will extract the text out of that particular image and it will show the text only. Instead of the image, it will extract the text from that image and show it to you. So that is optical character recognition. And the final thing is transliteration. Let us suppose you have typed the word hi, and let us suppose you have selected your target language as Hindi. Then how do you write that hi in Hindi? So that text will appear. That is called as transliteration. Okay, so these are all the NLP tasks which are supported as part of Bhashini. So I will open these explore models and show it to you in the later point of the video. Okay, but for now let us try to understand what is this NLP task and what all steps are involved. So basically these two steps are involved in any NLP task. One is the model training and another thing is model execution. But the first thing is we need to understand what is this model. Let us suppose there is an NLP task which is language translation. Okay, so you have to translate, let us suppose Hindi to Telugu, some text from Hindi to Telugu. So then you ask a person who knows both Hindi and Telugu, and you give the Hindi text to him, and he will read that, and he will translate that text in his mind, and he'll spell out what is the translated text in Telugu, right? So that is the normal translation process. Okay, so whatever that human is trying to do, we are trying to model it. Okay, so we are trying to create a replica or a model of that which does the same task. Okay, so that is what is called as model. It is just the model of our human mind or brain. Okay, so but if you open this model, you don't see any brain, but what you see is the mathematical formulae or mathematical structure. Okay, so which will ultimately compute what is the translated version of a particular text. Okay, so for this to happen, for this model to be created, okay, so what we need is we need something called as machine learning algorithms. Okay, so these machine learning algorithms, as the name suggests, they are learning algorithms. Okay, so what a human does, he learns Telugu, he learns Hindi, right? How does he learn? He reads and listens to number of audio files or video files or even text files, and then slowly he'll try to learn the language. In the same way, we'll try to write a program which does the same thing, which is learning. Okay, so what it needs is just as human is consuming all the audio of Hindi and Telugu, and slowly he learns the language. So similarly, the program also needs those data, which is called as data sets. And this data needs to be fed into the algorithm in certain format, just to say that this is translation related algorithm and these are audio files, these are image files, like that. Each type of data will have certain format, right? So we need to specify all those format and input it to the algorithm. So then what algorithm does is it will read all those data and then it will create what is called as a model, which is a replica of the human mind, which does the same task as the human mind, which is to translate one language from another language. Okay, so this is the process which is happening as part of the model training. So once the training is done, then the performance of that model is also tested. Okay, let us suppose a person is learning Hindi language. How do you evaluate whether he has done good learning that Hindi language or not? Okay, you keep a test to him, right? So similarly, for the model which is created from this algorithm also, we run few tests, and that process is called as benchmarking. Okay, so you benchmark that particular model against some data sets and you see how well that particular model has performed. Okay, so that process is called benchmarking. And once you are convinced that this model is working fine, then you'll release that model into the production environment. And from there, this model can be utilized by other external applications. Okay, so for example, there might be certain application, mobile application, wherein there is a text translation that needs to happen, right? You might want to translate from one language to another language, and there might be some mobile app where you can type the text of a particular language, right? So once you type the text, that text will be inputted to this model. Whatever learning it has done here, it will apply that learning and it will translate the input text into the output text. Okay, so if you select your source text as Hindi and your destination and your target text as Telugu, then it will take this Hindi text as the input and it will translate that particular text into Telugu. So this is how any NLP program will work. Okay, so now let's try to understand what is the architecture of this Bhashini. So in this white paper, they have very detailedly explained what is the architecture and everything they have explained in detail. I'll give the link in the description. You can also just go through this particular white paper if required. So this is where they depicted the general architecture in a pictorial form. This is what is the NLTM cloud, which is the foundation layer wherein all the data and models are hosted. Okay, so if you see this one, right, this is the data repository. So that is this layer. Okay, so all this data is residing in this NLTM cloud. Okay, that is what they are depicting here. Okay, but how are they collecting all this data? So that is what we need to see now. Okay, so they are saying that they are collecting data from all these sources. Okay, one is like public data, non-personal data, whatever is there, like government agencies like Prasar Bharati and other government websites, right? Whatever data is open out in the public. So those data they are scraping, they are doing web scraping, they are analyzing all the audio video files, and all those files they are making it available as part of this Bhashini platform. So they also are collecting the data from NGOs, research foundations, and if there is any other open source data in any of the Indian languages, all those data also will be available here. And the fourth point which you see here is the data is crowdsourced. Okay, so what is this crowdsourcing? Okay, so if we go back to this architecture again, so here you see the crowdsourcing reference portal or app. Okay, so what do we mean by crowdsourcing is the data will be collected from each and every citizen. Okay, voluntarily. If any citizen wants to contribute to this Bhashini platform without any IT knowledge, they can contribute their voice or they can contribute their knowledge on the language to create these data sets. Okay, so for that, what they are doing is they created a reference portal. Okay, so which is called as Bhashadan. Okay, so if you go here, this is a Bhashadan portal. I'll give the link for this also in the description. Okay, so this is still in the beta version, but here they have given the options to like Suno India, Bolo India, Liko India, and Deco India. Okay, so here either you can listen to or speak or write, and whatever language knowledge which you have, you can contribute here, so that all the data, whatever you are speaking and whatever you are reading and whatever you are validating, will ultimately be stored into this platform. Okay, so this even a common person without any IT knowledge can do it. And this is also very useful for the startups. Okay, I'll tell you how. So what happens is government will run certain hackathons wherein startups can participate and give some innovative ideas as to how to crowdsource this, like how to encourage people to come and contribute to this particular platform. So for that, you might have to write certain apps, okay, like this Bashadan app. You might want to write some innovative apps, create some innovative apps, and then you go into the public and get their details. Okay, so like that, there will be some hackathons that will be conducted. That is what is the government's idea. So this is an opportunity for startups to work on here. Okay, so if you have to work on this particular thing, then what you need to know is what is called as this ULCA, which is Unified Language Contribution API. Okay, so this data repository, whatever is there, on top of this, there is an integration platform which is existing here. Okay, so you can either insert the data or delete the data or read the data using these APIs. So that is what is the purpose of it. Okay, so those all APIs, right? They, like if you go here, this is the ULCA platform. So this is the actual Bhashini platform. In that you can come into the ULCA, and if you come here, you have the API links. Okay, so if you open these API links, now this is where you come. So they have uploaded all the APIs to Swagger Hub. Okay, so here you can see all the APIs which are there as part of this ULCA platform, using which you can interact or you can create the data set or read the data set. Okay, so these are all the APIs which are available. Okay, so if you want to get any of the data set or if you want to post or submit any data set, then you can use these particular APIs. Okay, so but the only thing is you need to send the request. If you see here the request, right? So you need to send the request in certain format. But what is that format? How did you know that? Okay, so the Bhashini team has created this GitHub page wherein you can see what is the schema which is expected. Like for example, if you see here, there is a dataset schema. Okay, so this link also, GitHub link also, I'll put it out in the description box. So here you can go to this dataset schema and you can see what all parameters are there, what are variables are the input variables which it accepts, and accordingly you can create these input variables and you can create the data and you can use these APIs. You can create the data in this format and you put the data into this request body and you just do a post call, so that whatever your data set is there, just go and sit into this Bhashini platform. Okay, so that is how you can use these APIs for creating the data. Okay, so this is all about the creation of the data. So once you insert the data into the Bhashini platform, what happens is it will verify those, it will validate all the data. Okay, whether you whatever you are given data you are given is as per the contracts or not, as per the specification which is given here or not. So all that validations will happen, and also the deduplication will happen. Like if whatever the data you already contributed, if it is already existing in the platform, then that will not be reinserted just to save the space. Okay, and you will get an ultimate report as to how many records have been ingested and how many are errored out. So like that you'll get a report also once you execute that particular API. Okay, so all these things you can do as part of this Bhashini platform to create the data set if you want to contribute in creating the data set. Okay, so that's about it. Now, if you are a data scientist or an ML engineer, and if you want to contribute in creating the model, you can do so. So let's see what is the general architecture for that too now. Okay, so let's go back to this diagram again. Okay, so what are you doing here? You write some ML algorithm which will actually take the data sets and create the model, right? So these data sets are already present in the Bhashini platform. Okay, you can use these datasets. Okay, they are hosted in Bhashini platform. But the ML algorithm which you are trying to write, it cannot be hosted in the Bhashini platform. You will have to host this algorithm externally in certain cloud. You can use either GCP, AWS, or any other cloud which you want. You can also use the open source or private clouds, public clouds, any cloud environment you can use to host this algorithm. But you cannot directly host and run this algorithm in Bhashini platform. Okay, so then you read these data sets using APIs. Okay, using the ULCA APIs, you get these data sets, and then your algorithm in an external cloud environment will read all these data sets and it will create a model. So once the model is created, you will have to host it in the production environment for other apps to consume, right? So that hosting also you cannot do it in the ULCA platform, or you cannot do it in Bhashini. Okay, so the production model hosting also has to be done in external cloud environments. But you will have to expose this particular model as an API. Okay, and that API can be registered as part of this ULCA platform. So let's see how all that works. So once your model is ready to be placed in the production environment, then what you do is you will take some external cloud environment and you will host your model in that external cloud environment. And then you will expose this model to the outside world as an API. So anybody can trigger this model using an API. Okay, so then what you do is you take that API endpoint and you will register that API endpoint in ULCA platform. Okay, so you will create a model in ULCA in the model repository. In model repository here in the Bhashini platform, you will create a record. Okay, you will create an entry, and what you give there is what is your model name and what is your model production endpoint. Okay, so what you have hosted here, right? So what is the endpoint to hit to trigger your model? So that is what you will mention it here. So you are not actually hosting the model itself here. It will not run in this platform, but it will contain the endpoint where your model is hosted. Okay, so this is how the end-to-end flow works. Okay, the user will enter something like, for example, Hindi text he will enter. Okay, and he might have selected that text to be converted to Telugu. Then you will use this ULCA platform to discover your model. Okay, so your model can be discovered through these ULCA APIs. Okay, because you have already registered your model in the Bhashini platform, your model can be discovered through these ULCA APIs. And then he will pick this model and he will check what is the endpoint to hit, and he will actually hit that endpoint and give the input, and model actually executes in a different environment. It will not execute in the ULCA environment. So this model running needs high GPUs and CPUs, right? So you need some costly servers to actually run this. But if you are a researcher or if you are a student and if you want to explore and if you want to create some innovative apps, then government will provide their cloud servers to you. Okay, so the document, so how do you approach the government to request for the cloud servers? So that is mentioned as part of this document, you can refer to it. Okay, so but the government is open to give the cloud environments to researchers and students. Okay, so you can leverage the government resources, government cloud servers. You can host the model in the government servers, and then you can register that particular endpoint in the model repository. But if you are hosting your model in government servers, then you should make that as an open source. You should make this open model repository as an open source. Okay, so this model, whatever you are hosting as part of this ULCA platform, right? It can be either open sourced model or it can be a charged model. It can be a licensed model. Okay, so both can be hosted here. But if you are hosting your model in the government cloud servers, then you will have to definitely make your model open source. But if you are using if you are charging the customer to utilize your model, then you have to host it on your own cloud server, and you can register your endpoint here, and this client facing app can use your credentials to hit your endpoint, and using the same ULCA API you can execute and get the response. Okay, so that's the point which you need to note here. Okay, and the way you are creating and accessing the model is same. So you go to this APIs, yes, Figure Hub, everything is listed here. So here is the model controller. So using this model control APIs, you can get the model, and you can run the model, and you can search for any model. So all that you can do using these APIs. Okay, so now if we come back to this architecture diagram again, once you create your model, you can run the benchmark testing. Okay, so all the benchmark datasets are there in the ULCA platform. So you have created your model. You can run the benchmarking, and your model will be evaluated, and it will be given a score, like how well your model is performing. So that you can benchmark it here. And this is a very standard tool. So this is how other external apps will believe your model. Like if you want to put some cost over your model to utilize your model, right? So then if your benchmarking is really good, like if it is performance of this model is really good, then the client apps might be willing to pay a certain price for it. But what is the standard to say that your benchmarking, your model is running well? So that validation will happen in Bhashini tool. So this is one point difference which tells how good is your model. Okay, so based on that, the client application can discover the well-performing models. Okay, so then based on that, it can create the leaderboards, like what are the, like if I want to convert or translate a particular language from Hindi to Telugu, or Telugu to Bengali, then which are the models which are well performing for that particular task. I can discover that using these leaderboards. Okay, so all that I can do. So this is the foundation layer wherein all those facilities are given. And then on top of this, there is a reference app layer. Okay, so this is what is open source layer which government will create. Like what they'll do is in each language, how you can access these APIs, and how you can run these models, and how can you create the apps. Okay, so to demonstrate that, the IT researchers from the Indian government team, or any other researchers, will create these reference applications. Okay, and these reference applications will work as a reference for this top layer, wherein the ecosystem layer. Okay, so this is our startup ecosystem, like educators, educational institutions, researchers, NGOs. Everybody can comes under this ecosystem layer. Okay, and here is where the actual end user apps will get created. Okay, so then they can take the reference of this application. This will be deployed as part of the GitHub, and then they can take this reference application and they can create their own apps using this ULCA platform, and they can run these models, and they can create some innovative apps. So that is how this end-to-end architecture is working. Okay, so let us suppose you are a startup and you want to create an app. Okay, I'll just demonstrate how you can utilize this APIs. Okay, so if you can just come here. This is the model controller. So let us suppose you want to see certain model. Okay, so you want to get some details about the model. Okay, so and you can use this get API. Okay, so you can use this get API. So if you see here, right, the parameters which are expected here is the model ID. Okay, so you need to pass what is the model ID. But how do you know what is the model ID? Okay, so you can go here to the ULCA platform. Okay, this URL, and if you come down here, so here you will see what are all the data sets which are available. Okay, so then if you come down still, here you have explore ULCA models. Okay, so you just have to open this. So here are all the applications which are there. Okay, so if you see, so you can already record here your voice. Okay, and then you can get that translated into any other language. So you can just select what is your source language. Maybe you can select English, and you can here select your target language as Telugu, and you can select a particular model, and then you can just record your voice, and that speech, whatever you have recorded, it will translate that into if you read it in English, it will translate that into Telugu, and it will read it out. Okay, so it will actually read it out. It's not a text to speech, but it is a audio to audio conversion. Okay, from one language to other language. Okay, so if you come to this translation, okay, so these are all the models which are available as part of the translation. So if I want to, let us suppose, see on Telugu, okay, so I can just search Telugu here. So I'll get all the Telugu translations, like from Malayalam to Telugu, Bengali to Telugu, Telugu to Hindi, all different versions I'll get. Okay, so if I select this version, let us suppose Malayali to Telugu. Okay, so then what I can do is I can try this model here. Okay, so I can just click on this try model and I can just enter some text here and I can translate it, and it will actually translate that Malayalam text to Telugu. Okay, so we can just test it out here. Okay, and if you want to run this through the APIs, so then what you need to do is, this is the model ID. Okay, what you are seeing here, this is the model ID. So all you need to do is you need to copy this model ID and you just need to click on try out here, and you need to paste this model ID here and you need to execute. Okay, so then this API will get executed and you will get the response. Okay, so here you can see the response. Okay, what is this? It is saying the name of the model, which is Malayalam to Telugu, right? So this is what we have selected, the model. Okay, so then what is this model? What are the details? Everything it will give. Okay, all the details about that model. What is the license? Okay, everything it will give. So based on this, you can run this model also. Okay, so to run the model, you can maybe use, I haven't tried this, but you can use maybe compute, and you can just pass the details, and then you will pass the request body and you will get the response. Okay, so like this, you can utilize these APIs and you can create the apps. Okay, if you want more details on how to use these APIs, you please let me know in the comments, and I'll create a detailed videos on these too. Okay, that's it for today. Thank you.